Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Why are men so picky today when it comes to marriage, when it comes to choosing a spouse? Let us analyze the male psychology and how has it changed over time when it comes to picking a long-term relationship, i.e. a marriage, a wife, sorry. But if you like my work and you like this video and many other videos that I've done, please make sure you subscribe, like, share this video so everyone can watch it, as well as check out the links in the description of this video and support my work. With a small donation, you can help me continue to do this work, to fight the liberals, to fight the feminists, to educate the Muslim Ummah on these very important topics. Let's get right into the video. Bismillah. So, men are very picky today because they become very feminine. Being very picky is a very feminine trait. Why? Well, because women are monogamous. And because they have one choice, basically, if you think about a female marriage from their perspective, they have one choice. They don't get to have 4 husbands. They don't get to have malakat ayman. They don't get to have anything other than one man and one man only. And because they will obviously need to have a good man, a man who's going to provide, a man who they can actually trust to impregnate them and to share that genetic material, to impregnate them, to have children with them and protect them, they are going to be very picky. Women throughout the centuries were the ones who, if you look at, they're the ones who would accept or reject. They're the ones who really are the ones who will say, well, okay, this is the man I want. Yes, even for women, in general, the standards were a little bit lower because back in the days, the trade-off, till today it still is, but back in the days it was more obvious. The trade-off was the following. Men would offer resources, protection, time, money, and women would offer intimacy, motherhood, exclusivity, and so on, and loyalty. So things have changed now because, well, women have a lot of those resources that men used to offer. There are still certain resources that women are interested in that they themselves are not that easy to get. However, it's really changed. Now, one of the resources that women are still very interested in is a man's attractiveness. But because guys are not that attractive today, it is, well, in a woman's favor now because she has, well, more power. Because she is the real attractive one, guys will gravitate towards her. There'll be a lot of competition for her beauty. And women now get to choose. And they are picky, no doubt, because it's part of their fitrah. They are even more picky because it is part of their fitrah. Again, why? Because women would have to deal with the one single choice. It's got to be the best choice that they make. He has to have genetical interest. I mean, she has to be good looking or handsome enough because she's going to obviously carry his children. He has to be strong enough, take care of her. He has to be providing enough. And then there's a lot of requirements. And that's why you find that women have huge lists of requirements when it comes to men. They will cut them a little bit shorter when there's attraction, but in the absence of full attraction or real strong attraction, I'm not saying full attraction, but strong attraction, they will increase the list. Now, what about guys though? Guys used to be not as picky. Why? Because they could have multiple options. They could have more than one wife. They, even though it's not as easy, because again, they have to put in the resources, but they could offer one resource that was quite hard to find at that time, which was protection. While today, that protection has been defaulted or has been given to, well, the government, police, army, and so on and so forth. Now, men, one of their main resources has been taken away. But when men are now choosing, they're still very, very picky because they have become very weak because they're not offering protection. They haven't really practiced that skill of protection because their protection is not really needed. It's been really outsourced to army and police. Men are not working to develop that skill, so they're very weak physically. Also, they're very weak emotionally due to a lot of mental health issues, due to a lot of lack of objectives, a mission and vision in life, they're not really as useful as they used to be when they used to fight wars and they used to die for humanity to live. First World War, Second World, and thousands of wars before that over the centuries. So men have become extremely weak. However, because they're so feminine, weakness in that sense, where you're not strong, you're not providing, you're not having a mission and vision, you've become very emotional, you're watching chick flicks, Netflix, you're very, very weak in your mental health, weak in your body, which actually leads to weakness in mental health. Okay, the cognitive behavior process, it's a two-way stream. So cognition affects behavior, but behavior can affect cognition as well. In a time where pornography is rampant, men are going towards that type of exchange online, virtually, which makes them even more weak. It lowers their testosterone. So they're found in a very feminine energy. On the opposite side of the equation, we find women who are being pushed to be stronger. Society encourages them, and they're becoming more and more strong. But the discussion is mostly about men. So men are very feminine, therefore now they have all these requirements. Also, because they're so monogamous, like women in general, even though there's some changes now, women seems to be becoming more polygamous. But because men have now become monogamous, because they don't have those resources that would allow them back in the days to actually, have access to multiple partners, to divide those resources to many women who would need them. Today they're monogamous, and because they're monogamous, now they're exercising the same feminine choice that women would have done it. They still do, but women would have done it, 50, 100 years ago, which is that they need to pick their single best choice. Guys are so picky because in their mind, this is the only chance I get. Therefore, she has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not to mention at the top of the list, super, super good looking. Extremely. Of course, those standards have been influenced by, again, social media, fakeness. Not to mention men are very superficial when it comes to assessing female beauty. And due to the surgeries and all the different changes the women have gone through, and they display these on social media, men think that this is what beautiful is. And a lot of women don't have that. So therefore, they're so picky. No, it has to be perfect, beautiful, hot, this, that, and loyal, and this, and only for me, and exclusive, and work sometimes, and do 50-50, and have a career, and. So guys have a huge list now that almost competes with females' list. Now remember, by genetic programming, by biological, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, fitra, women were always picky because they had to be, to make sure that the single best choice that they get will be the one that will be for a very long time, because it's a long-term thing. And this will ensure her survival, the continuity of our species. Women are the reproductive bottleneck. They're very, very valuable because it's one egg per month. Men, thousands and millions of sperms per day is not as valuable. Women are the reproductive bottleneck. That's why they are so valuable. So you understand. Now men, because they're now very feminine, and part of being feminine is being monogamous, they realize that they don't have options, so they have to have a long list, be very picky because they only get one choice and they want to make it the best choice for the long-term relationship, i.e. marriage. Now that causes a problem though, because now women are very picky by nature, obviously. Men have become very picky because of weakness and losing their nature, and now you have two butting each other's heads. In the marriage marketplace, you find now that people don't want to get married. Men don't want to get married because they have so many requirements and they cannot find that perfect woman that they really want to spend the rest of their lives with. Which, by the way, back it used to be that they just have to have as many non-destructive choices. They would choose 1, 2, 3, 4 women that are just not bad, good enough, medium. Above medium, it would be more than enough for a man. Just as many options as possible. Well, obviously in Islam it's limited to 4 that are just not bad. They're good enough. Now it's one option. It's got to be the best, which is obviously, well, it's difficult. It's almost impossible. Actually, a lot of men's criteria have become very impossible. Do you understand? So because now women, again, to review, by default, by biology, by fitra, they're picky because they only get one choice. Do you understand? It makes sense. It makes sense. Women are women. That's how they've been created. And they were and always will be more picky. Relatively speaking, depends with what's available, the time and all that. Yes, I think they become even more picky now. Again, relativity. But the problem is with the men. That now, because they have one choice and one choice only, monogamy has been pushed down their throat. And that is why, my dear sisters, monogamy is bad. You're not finding a man. Remember, men, in the end of the day, you can't force a man to marry you. If he wants to commit to marriage, he will commit. If not, marriage doesn't happen. Marriage does not happen unless a man is going to commit to it. Condemn him, push his family. Bottom line is he won't marry if he doesn't want to. You understand? So men are not marrying you a lot of times because they're so feminine. They're so weak. They're so picky that now, as a woman, you're remaining without a husband. And you're saying, where have all the good men gone? They're still around. It's just that they don't want you because they want this perfect archetype of a woman that, to be honest, man, might not even exist. That's how bad it's gotten. I've worked with thousands of men in the Muslim Alpha and in my counseling throughout the years. And sometimes I look at these guys and I'm like, bro, what do you want, brother? You're not going to find it. And even if you do, it's a unicorn, if you know what I mean. As in, it's very unique and very hard to find. So that is the reason why men and women are not getting married today. A lot of it has to do also with men and their mistakes and their negativity, the way they become very feminine, too picky and monogamous. Monogamy is not good for men. It's not good for women, specifically for women. And more women are going to be single because of monogamy. And keep in mind that throughout the centuries, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He's made these rules, He is the author of life. He is the author of everything. He knows exactly who He created and why. Well, there's always going to be more marriageable women than marriageable men. It's not, a lot of people are like, no, but the population, it's not about the population of men and women, even though female population is outdoing male population in general. I'm talking about marriageable, the ones who can marry, because this is what we're talking about here. Marriage is not about numbers necessarily. And responsibility. And the Prophet also said there will come a time towards the end of towards the day of judgment where one man will be responsible for 50 women. And here we see the key word responsibility. Not just the statistics, not just the ratio that some people might look at. Some guys make this mistake. So, marriageable. Always throughout the century, marriageable men who have the ability, were always less than women. Women have always been more marriageable. Why? Well, because men in general, they die earlier, they are in wars, they get incarcerated more. There's many reasons that the population of marriageable men will always be lower. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed for this. Statistics, it could have been 1 to 10. For example, one man, he could marry 10 women. Before we know that that's how it was. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has limited it to 1 to 4, of course. Let me know what you think. And do click the links in the description of this video and support this dawah. Check it out how you can with a nice donation, alhamdulillah. Or monthly donation is even better because then it allows me to continue and to be independent of all these people who are trying to cancel me and trying to report me and trying to do all these things. Bottom line, at the end of the day, alhamdulillah for everything. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum.